down on the ground! Get down and spread your hands out!
They've made more than 200 arrests.
Apprehension, we have an apprehension.
At least $200,000 worth of crack cocaine, heroin, and marijuana is now off Richmond's streets.
So you're also being charged with possession of cocaine with the intent to distribute.
The Richmond Henrico Strike Force is on the job. 28 of the city and county's best in blue. They're out hunting criminals in the city's housing developments like Creighton Court. What starts in the city eventually ends up in the county. This latest bust is just feet from Henrico County, and it shows that this joint task force is definitely doing its job.
Instead of stopping it at the line, we're now addressing it 2, 3, 4 miles deep, so we're making a larger buffer.
The unit goes back and forth across county and city line, but most of the work is done in Richmond.
When they see us coming, I mean, they know that we mean business. So
Watch. Drop the bag for a thing.
Many suspects try to run, but most of the time they're outnumbered as the units swarm in.
You don't have many people that are going to get away from you if they are holding something or if they are doing something wrong.
we'll ride over to Accommodation Street, just take a look through there. That's where they shot that fire truck.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
The unit hit the streets October 10th as part of Full Alert. Henrico County loaned the officers to the city at the height of Richmond's crime crisis.
All units on 5 strike force are reporting shots being fired at a police vehicle.
But come January 10th, the Henrico officers won't be answering calls like this one. They're pulling out.
I think it's made an impact. Folks know that we're here.
I'd like to see it continue because the level of activity here is much higher than we have in the county.
Last 3 months, we've made some really good arrests.
I'd love to stay, but I don't have the decision.
That decision rests with county leaders, and they say the time has come to bring their boys back home to Henrico. But it doesn't mean this teamwork will totally end. Joint operations will continue on an irregular basis, and if in the future a crisis arises, Henrico says they'll be ready to come on in for backup. In Richmond, Michele Mowery, WTVR, News Channel 6.
Beautiful scenery, abundant wildlife, and wide open spaces. All of that and much more make Bryant Park one of Richmond's premier attractions.
But the way things first appear and the way they turn out are often very different. Case in point, my photographer and I parked our car here. We wanted to take a walk on this bridge and see what was out here. Then all of a sudden, a very foul smell caught our noses. We didn't know where it was coming from, but we looked around. We found the cause.
Under the bridge, floating in the shallows, and washed up on the rocks, dozens of dead fish dot the surface of the murky water. The rotting smell is almost unbearable. Where did they come from and why are they here is what Joan Straughter wants to know. She walks through the park every day for exercise. Thanks to the powerful smell, today's trip is more difficult than usual.
I didn't realize we had big fish in here like this, but it's going to be bad in a couple of days if they don't get it out. That odor is bad.
The city is draining the lake and plans to dredge the bottom. It's all part of the Bryant Park beautification project. The dead fish, putrid smell, and heavy rains weren't in the plans.
We had the basin down significantly, and then a large storm came and hit the lake, and I think it's just churned up the water so significantly that it's really choked out a lot of the fish in the pond.
Sutton promises the debris on the shoreline, which he says is a result of recent rains, and the dead fish will be cleaned up before weekend visitors arrive. In Richmond, I'm Jay Ariano, WTVR News Channel 6.
The life of a lawmaker. These pictures give new meaning to the term political party, and there's plenty of it going on. Lawmakers have 90 receptions to choose from during the General Assembly's 6.5-week session. From stir-fry to open bars to ice-sculptured slot machines. This is where special interest groups schmooze your lawmaker with food and booze.
But there's more to this story than just the parties. What will surprise you is how many of these lawmakers get to these bashes.
At almost any event, unmarked Capitol police cars are nearby, ready to chauffeur lawmakers. One of those lawmakers who frequently uses the free rides is Roanoke delegate Vic Thomas.
We don't use them unless we have to. I've got committee meetings that I have to come to at night, and rather than try, or miss something or whatever, I call on them, and I've done that at times, and I got no problems whatsoever with doing that.
But on the night we followed Delegate Thomas, we didn't see him going to committee meetings. Instead, he was picked up at his hotel and taken to the Omni where a reception was being held. And then he's off to the Marriott for another reception.
And he certainly isn't alone. After checking police records, I discovered during 16 days in January, Capitol police officers made 129 trips around town carrying lawmakers. Basically, the Capitol Police Department has become the lawmakers' own taxi service. And guess what? You're paying the cab fare.
The state Capitol Police budget is $2.7 million. Some of those dollars are going to this legislative limo service. During our investigation, we found other lawmakers using taxpayer chauffeurs. Delegate Craig Deeds of Bath County was picked up at the Marriott. And Delegate Tom Baker of Pulaski County decided to use the police for a ride from the Capitol to the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts for, you guessed it, a reception. Capitol police officers are so busy running lawmakers around, at times the police dispatcher sounds like a cab dispatcher.
10-10, I've got Senator Trump. I'm standing by too. I'm going to have somebody from JB handle one with Delegate Baker.
Many of the lawmakers who claim they're fighting to cut wasteful spending are the same ones who would rather not drive themselves. And whether you like it or not, you're picking up the tab. With this inside report, Roger Harvey, News Channel 6.
There's a fire.
Second alarm of fire at Summit and Broad Street for building fire.
There's a fire and smoke.
What do I think of this? It's cool, man. Look at the smoke rising. I hope no one's in there.
I wouldn't want to be up there if I was them. We saw the smoke, so we just pulled aside to see what happened. I don't even know how it started.
Ever see anything like that?
No, not me. It seemed to start from the front, and then it went to the back. I thought this would take a lot longer to put it out than it did.